I snooped through my husband's phone and found out he cheated on me the day we made up from a fight. I, 28F, found my husband, 28M, had cheated on me while we had been fighting. Or rather while he was mad at me for a depressive episode one had. We had gotten into a fight at the very beginning of September, like the 2nd, and for the entire month he stonewalled me and gave me the silent treatment. Nothing I did or said would work to get him to just fucking stop. On the 25th he finally let out what it was he was repressing, but not in a healthy or kind way. He screamed it at me and I did everything in my power to try and fix my side of the street, which was rejected over and over and over. The next day, September 26th, I was supposed to attend my once-a-week graduate class but felt too sick with anxiety to go. I stayed home, canceled my babysitter, my mom, and just went on about my day. My class is at night, so I'm usually gone from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. each Thursday. My husband had turned off his location for this entire month, and I finally did too about a week before this day, but for some reason I could still see his location on my laptop and saw he arrived in our town about 6 p.m. from work but just went to a parking lot just 5 minutes around the corner. I assumed he was just avoiding coming home, thinking my mom was there watching our daughter and he didn't want to interact much. He sat there for an hour or two, moved to a different parking lot across the street, and sat there for about 45 minutes. During this time, nothing was charged to our bank account, so he wasn't getting dinner or anything that I was aware of. He came home about 8:30/9 and I was in the kitchen getting myself some water, so we ran into each other. I greeted him. He of course ignored me, so I went up to my room. I was up there for just a short while before coming back down to get something for the dogs, and as I was going back up I reminded him that the built-in trash can broke and to be careful because I didn't want him to get hurt. He said okay and muttered something else. I asked what. So he repeated himself, "Do you want a hug?" Which was his way of inviting me over so we could repair things. We hugged and he said, "I think I just needed to get all of that off my chest," meaning what he yelled at me the night before. I again tried to apologize for my side of things, and I'm just realizing now he never apologized for anything he said or did during this entire month, and he said it's okay, you're fine, you're okay. And as a couple who hadn't spent much time together in a month, let alone in bed, would do, we ended up having sex and it was great. It was the kind of sex that I really enjoy, not vanilla as fuck, which is usually what it ends up being. We used a lot of lube and he was saying he was having issues finishing because of how much lube we were using, and it seemed like a reasonable explanation to me at the time. Even up until tonight it seemed reasonable. He said there was too much and it got to the point he couldn't really feel anything, and I believed him. I had no reason not to. I was telling my friend about it the next day and she said, "Too much lube? That's bullshit. I'm sorry, but that's a major red flag to me," implying she thought he'd been with someone else before me. I insisted it was the lube because we used double the amount we normally would and it really was a mess, and she didn't push it. So things have been great the past 10 days since then. Back to normal and enjoying each other's company. Tonight he picked up dinner just for the two of us after our daughter went to bed, and we hung out until he passed out when I went to shower. He fell asleep with his phone still playing the TikTok he'd been watching, and my nosiness and paranoia got the better of me. I snooped his deleted messages and found a number with 2 messages together. A message from him, "How much for blowjob?" and a message from the number, 500. Then I snooped his maps history. Massage shop. This was the parking lot he had been in for a couple hours on the 26th. And the texts were dated 7:44 p.m. on September 26th. So not only did he cheat on me, he used a secret credit card to do it, and then came home and made up with me, fugged me, and blamed his poor refractory period on the lube. I'm not looking for advice. The only reasonable thing to do after that is divorce, of course. But I just can't right now, financially. Plus, I'm having a hard time disconnecting from him. I'm starting therapy tomorrow, conveniently. I'm sure I'll work it out in there. Thanks for letting me vent.